All right, so the three things you need to know for PD2 trading, since I'm told every video longer than 3 minutes just short circuits all the TikTok brain rot, are survivorship bias, opportunity cost, and undercutting. If you know those three things, you will have a good time trading in PD2. So survivorship bias, that means when an item is stacking at a certain price point, that is not the price of the item. It is slightly below that. So the biggest one, or the easiest one to look at, is Prime Evil Souls, which generally stack at Vex and then slowly over the season increase to Ohm. So if they're stacking at Vex, they're worth 0.4. When they start stacking at Ohm, they're worth like 0.6, 0.65. Ohm is 0.75, Vex is 0.5. Don't assume that the trade site is correct just because you see 10 items all there for Burr. That doesn't mean they're worth a Burr at 3.0. That means they're worth like 2 to 2.5. When it comes to opportunity cost, the quickest way to explain this for people who are going to click off the video in a minute or two is if it is better to have 2 in the hand than 1 in the bush. It's better to take your runes now, this week, than next week when inflation is probably going to kick in and ruin your time. This is different for GG items, and if you want an in-depth explanation, you can stick around for the rest of the video. And lastly, undercutting. When you are undercutting, you can do it in one of two ways, really. You can undercut by what I call just like, I want my money now. It's the JG Wentworth strategy. It's my runes and I want them now. If everything is at Vex, I do this with facets an awful lot, 5-4 facets, everyone puts them up for Vex. Okay, I'm sticking mine at Gull. Gull Isted will sell in like a couple hours. If I stick it up at Gull, it's gone in 15 minutes. I'll take my Gull now and not worry about the item. And the other way to undercut is simply just dropping 10, 20%. Do this for bigger items that are worth like 3 more high runes, 2 high runes, something like that. Everything's at 2, okay, I'm going to undercut, and I know there's survivorship bias. I'm posting mine for 1.5 to 1.75, depending on how long you want to wait. Okay, now all of the smooth brains can click off the video. There's your very quick explanation. For everyone who wants to stick around, I want you to check this plot out and what I'm talking about. I recorded this a few days ago, and it's me essentially, well, just watch it. Hey, so this is interesting. I'm probably going to throw this into a trading video at some point. Might be next season, but this is season 9, and I was tracking a couple things while I was gearing up a Plague Amazon. You can see the items that I was looking for on the side here. Torches, max Amies, COAs, big helms, facets, life skillers. And what I did was, this does have my subjective, opinion in it, obviously, but on field 1, the bottom x-axis is how I ranked the person pricing the item. Like, did they find the market price for the item? And then what I did was I went to their armory and picked out their most geared character. And this is going to be a little subjective. It's near the end of the season. People have gutted some of their best characters and made maybe lesser characters like I have. But then I ranked what I thought their gear level was, which I think is indicative of their play time in the game. And there is absolutely no correlation whatsoever between how geared someone was, how much time they've played. I mean, game knowledge maybe goes into that a little bit. I guess not if they're not trading well. But the point is, I expected a correlation something like this, straight across, where the most geared players, the people with the most play time, most game knowledge, are pricing their items and trading the most correctly, or a correlation kind of like this, where the people who have very little play time and don't know what they're doing are pricing things wrong. The people who need to maximize their trades because their play time is kind of low, like they're up here and doing things correctly, and then the people who are just swimming in runes don't really care. They're just pricing their items, give me everything I want because I don't really need to trade this item, so I can overprice it. Screw you. And as you can see, there is literally no correlation whatsoever. And I'm not happy about this. This is not a good thing. This means I am right when I say the trading culture is totally fucked and screwed. And I'm not saying that like, whoopee, yay, I was correct. It's like, my trading videos and my rants about this shit is the things people don't like me talking about. And I'm not excited about this. This means what I was seeing kind of lines up, at least with this sample size of 50, with what I thought. That's not good. So I'm going to have to rant about it at some point. All right, so this is going to go into a video at some point here. And we'll see how that video does. But Very interesting. Another couple things to note. There's the person with 10 10s here. They're actually on the list, I think 2 or 3 times. I won't say who that is, but they are one of the most geared players in the game, one of the most knowledgeable players in the game, big streamer. People will know the name, and that person just prices his items correctly every single time. Like, I kept seeing his name pop up, and I was like, oh my god, it's him. Oh yeah, sure. Of course, he's got the market price completely nailed down. So he's actually overrepresented here. He's up here 3 times in that corner. But yeah, I mean, very, very weird. I figured there'd be some correlation to this, but this is sort of what I'm talking about, guys. People do not price their items correctly, and it doesn't matter how much they know about the game. Doesn't matter if they know every item in the game. Doesn't matter if they are not checking the market and they don't care, or they're trying to rip people off, or they don't know what the item's worth. All over the place. So I found that incredibly interesting because I thought it was going to be one of 2 things. Either really good players were going to price items well, or the really good players were going to price items wrong, and there was absolutely no correlation with anything. And that, again, sort of tells me what I've been bitching about, and this is why I'm not happy. I said in the video, I think, I'm not happy about this. It's like, I don't want to be correct, because that means I have to keep bitching about the thing that people don't want me to bitch about. So, what the fuck do I do here, man? I gotta tell the truth. So for the more in-depth explanation of what's going on here is people don't know how to trade. They don't know those 3 principles very well. So we did this before. Where's my cursor? I can't see the cursor in Paint, man. Here's what I think your price curve is like over the entire season of PD2. Bam. Over time, this is a point where we're buying skillers, even though they're plain skillers and they're not worth it. This is when we've sort of started flooding the market a little bit with runes, and you can get prices and good deals on okay items, the 2 socket things. This is the peak where we're looking for our... Can you play with something else? Thank you. Where we're buying our massive corruptions, 3 socket big items, and you know the price is just inflating. And this is where those 3 socket GG helms, which you know are supposed to be for like what 10 to 15 high runes, all of a sudden, yeah, it might be quote unquote worth that when you bought it, but you're having to settle for 7 high runes or something like that because no one wants your specific 3 socket helm. Okay, so opportunity cost. Let's talk about that. So why, if I find a burr rune right here in the season, it's worth 3.0. Why, first off, when you break a burr, don't post it for 3. Post it for 2.9 at least. If you want to break it really quick, do 2.75 in low runes, and someone will probably pick that up. But you want to get rid of this burr, and you want to get rid of it here before things start inflating. Because... let's say, my classic example, and I'm going to keep going back to this because I think it works. Let's say you want to build the Innocence, right? Innocence was all the rage this season. It'll probably get nerfed next season, but that's going to cost you a Zod rune. These started out at like 175, then like week 2, they went up to like 2.0, and then week 3, they were all up to 2.75, and then like a month in, these things were at a flat fucking 4.0, and that also increased Chams too, right? Chams jumped up to 2.0. I don't know why I'm putting it here. It goes here. This is very technical. The point is, if I want to break this burn now, I can get my Zod in week 2 for half the cost, as opposed to me trying to get an extra gull out of it and waiting a couple days or something, and the price might inflate up to 2.75. So that extra gull that you were waiting for, well, you got your gull, you got your 0.25, but you lost 0.75 getting the burr. You've lost 0.5 high runes. There's your opportunity cost. That works for a lot of different items. Steven, sir, we do not play with papers. Thank you. You know better than that, just because I'm doing something. All right, survivorship bias. I explained this, really the longer version of survivorship bias. Look at PESs. Those are a great example of the PESs or survivorship bias. When they stack at Vex, which is 0.5, they kind of go up to Ohm. 0.75 is the decloners, and everyone's out of things to buy, and everyone's just buying those items to run and declone and try and get the declone items, right? However, there are certain items that survivorship bias applies to, but not really in the same way. And I'm gonna pull this up. I'm not putting this dude on blast. He was smart. He asked a question, and yeah, Falcon Punch. Okay, yeah. This is a good example here. He was asking if Ladder was dead already. He has this giant skull up for buy it now 10 high runes. And by the way, smart guy. Current offer. I'm taking current offers, but I don't have a current offer. So he's not lying. Thank you, Falcon. That's how you're supposed to do these things. But it's kind of a low roll on the ED, right? And we're at the point in the season where people are looking for high rolls on things. Pierce is good, sure. But I responded to him and said, hey, you got a problem here. There's 2 pages of these things up right now. And there's a little bit better ones for like buy it now 8 high runes, right? So he says, all right, I'm going to dump it down to 6 high runes and see what happens. And it almost instantly sold for 6 high runes. So what was the price? If everything's stacking at 9 or 10 or 8, it's probably 7. He probably lowered it a little bit quicker and then it sold instantly, right? Easy peasy. All right, another thing survivorship bias really doesn't apply to is the massively GG items, because it is simply, even if there's more than one of these things up, this is the 3 socket materials, for example, you need to take legitimate offers on items like this. And here's an important point. If you see someone with current offer up and there are not current offers down here, bullshit. Absolute bullshit. That is the one person I will absolutely be willing to take advantage of in trading. If they have current offer, some bullshit number, and it's not here, because think about it. First off, they're lying. That's why I'm fine fucking with them and lowballing if they're going to be stupid and take a dumb price on something. But if it's an item people truly want and truly are willing to put in offers, I couldn't find the one, but there was a 3 socket up and the guy was doing it absolutely right. He said, I'm taking offers here. It was like, it must have been a good roll because it was like 100 high runes, 120 high runes, 150 high runes, and then someone put down 250. And he even said, look, last offer was from this guy. He's not responding. So if he responds, like he said, I'm taking other offers until he responds. Perfect, right? And here's the thing. The 250 guy wasn't responding. Maybe he backed down, maybe he's offline, whatever. The guy who offered 150 isn't going to remove his offer because he's next in line, right? He might get defaulted down to. So just because, that's the problem with these whole deleting offers bullshit, because you need to see what people are offering on it. The people who are making legitimate offers are going to keep their offer on until that item sells, because they might be the next person in line. So survivorship bias here really doesn't come into play because this item might be stacking legitimate offers. But if they're not on the website, bullshit. Yeah, my friend offered me that, or some guy whispered to me. He just didn't put it on the site. Yeah, right. Because if I want this item, I want to scare people off with my price. I want to put down the multiple high runes that I'm offering on this, just to price out all the people who might offer lower. No, get away from my item. That's my offer on there. So don't fall for that. Don't fall for that in the slightest. Survivorship bias. I'm not be able to do the in-depth thing I wanted to do, but survivorship bias, opportunity cost, and like I said, my fancy little graph there. So what that graph sort of told me, now that I'm thinking about it, was the problem with our trading isn't limited to players not knowing the game or game knowledge or the price of things. There might be multiple reasons for people with a lot of game knowledge and a lot of play time listing things over what they're worth. Maybe they're trying to scam somebody. The one I'm seeing now, because everyone's trying to play Combustion Sork at the end of the season here, is people are trying to trade their 5/5 poison facets for 5/5 fire facets, even though 5/5 poisons are going for Ohm to 1.0 and the fires are going for Burr Plus. And the one I saw was, I'm only trading my poison facet for a fire facet. Well, that's a 3-to-1 value. The only reason to do that is either you don't know, or you're trying to, make sure someone who maybe wants a quick flip isn't going to check the price. And then someone followed up and said, I'll give 2 5/5 poison facets for 1 fire, 5/5 fire. And it's like, okay, do those guys not know what they're talking about, or are they scamming a little bit, or being scummy? I don't care, I don't know. So when I ranked that trade, like on my little spreadsheet, I was like, I don't really care what their motivation is, the price is wrong. For one reason or another. It's either people don't know what they're doing, or they deliberately are trying to, scum out a bunch of money. But if you take in the principles of opportunity cost and survivorship bias, it's not a good trading strategy. And it is bad for the long-term health of each season, and I think the long-term health of the game. Would you stop playing with those papers? Steven, come on, we're going to go play. all right, I got to go take care of a kid. So try to keep some of these things in mind when you're doing your trading. It is the most important thing you can do. It doesn't require, like I said, that graph to me, that spreadsheet, I'm going to get like a 500 sample thing next season, but it tells me that all this bullshit people put out when they say, I don't have time to look up the game and I don't have encyclopedic knowledge of every price of every item. You don't need it. It takes 2 seconds to flip on, type in the item that you want, and go. And if you have an item that you really want, save your filter and just load it up, right? And then go to your filters, make sure your Discord's linked, and turn the auto notifications on. So when your Discord pops up, bam, it tells you when items are listed. There is no reason at this point not to know the price of items. There is really no reason to need price checks on things. And my God, the worst place to price check is still the subreddit, but the Discord's not much better. There's two different problems. I mean, now I'm going on a rant here, but the Reddit is just people throwing out shit that's wrong, and I love looking at their profiles, and then they admit that like they haven't played BD2 in seasons, and they're still giving price check advice. And the Discord consistently undervalues good items. They'll give you quicker answers, but it's like, you know, someone posts an item, and then I see like 15 seconds later, someone's got a reaction emoji to it. He did not have 15. He didn't look that item up in 15 seconds. I know he didn't. And the way things change and operate in this game, it's like sometimes you can know off the top of your head, but like there was one that was very clearly a good Amazon item, and I was like, there's no way. No, this is worth more than what it's being listed at. So look things up yourself. Remember opportunity cost. Remember survivorship bias. Remember what GG items are, and use those principles. Follow some items. Like next time you see a Tyrrell's up, follow them over the season. It will make you understand this more. And if you're the daddy gamer who doesn't have a lot of in-game time, again, I call bullshit, guys. Do your research. If you are a dad gamer, that means you got a lot of shit you're doing that's very boring. I'm feeding a baby a bottle. You know what I'm doing? I'm scrolling through the trade site. I'm scrolling through the wiki, thinking about things, looking up price or looking up the items that might help the next build. You got plenty of time for research. If you're a daddy gamer, you have more time to read, less time to play. And there's no excuse not to know these things 10 seasons in with a website that functions damn well. And these are just well-established principles. I'll get more data on this, and I might try to make this into a project. We'll see, but that'll be next season. See you guys later.